Pisces, I'm going to do a reading for you, which is some questions that I made up the other day. And here's the first one. In what ways are you excelling as Pisces, excelling at life at the moment, or excelling at the moment? The Death card. Wonderful. I'm going to give you the reading, the meanings afterwards. In what ways can Pisces be kinder to themselves? So we've got, this is Pisces and swallow people, because I don't know whether you can see, you probably won't be able to, but in that field all the swallows are, it's early evening and they're all, or getting on in the evening, they're all picking off the insects. It's so lovely. How is Pisces and swallow people, how can you be kinder to yourself? Right, this is interesting. We've got the Wheel of Fortune, the Knight of Cups, and Justice. Okay, interesting. In what ways do Pisces and swallow people have room for improvement? In what ways do they have room for improvement? Ta-da-da. They're very direct questions, these, but I think they might be quite useful sometimes. Three of Swords. Okay. And how can Pisces and swallow people bypass or work with any resistance that they have to improving their situation at the moment? We've got two cards here, and they are the King of Swords and the Four of Cups. So this is for bypassing or working with any resistance that you have at the moment. And what message is there to lessen any fear that they have around change? 10 of Coins. That's lovely. And what are the natural qualities or assets that you have at the moment to support yourself? The High Priestess. That makes sense for Pisces. That's great. And what image can you hold in your mind to help you stay the course, almost like a vision board? Oh, we've given three images. What are they? Nine of Swords, the Page of Swords, and the King of Cups. Okay, I'll show you these properly in detail in a minute. And this will be quite a quick reading. And what's the best version of yourself that you're here to be at the moment, or what are you here to overcome? Two cards. Three cards again. So we've got the Sun, that's lovely. The Queen of Wands, amazing. And the Seven of Cups. Wow. Okay. So, diving straight in what ways are you excelling at the moment? Whoever's watching this seems to be rather good at allowing for a rebirth, which is very, very good. Oh, I don't like these glasses that I've got. Ridiculous. Anyway, maybe I'll get the other ones out in a second. In fact, they're so dirty, I might as well do it now. Let's have a look. That's better. The green one is a bit more palatable. So, Death. He's just sort of in the middle of a kind of hurricane, and he's just going, yeah, bring it on. So that might be you at the moment. You're saying, bring it on. You're excelling on accepting a new phase, accepting that something new is happening, that you have to allow the old to go. Excuse me, it's sweaty. I need to adjust my bra straps. How can you be kinder to yourself, Swallow and Pisces people? Well, we've got the Wheel of Fortune, the Knight of Cups, and Justice. So by accepting that at this moment there is something that is moving forward, and that might make you feel a little bit vulnerable, a little bit youthful, like this character here, and so to be kinder to yourself, I think you need to look for some sort of fairness in this situation. Maybe you're not standing up for yourself enough with Justice here and this youthful energy in this change, in this moment of change. So we know it's a moment of change because you're excelling on letting it come through, but maybe you're letting it come through and they're not advocating for yourself in some way. I feel like at this moment of change, I hope you're jumping in to make this change. I hope you add your will to this as well, and try to think about what it is that you love that's quite useful to you, useful part of you that might be a little bit vulnerable, and then stand up for it. Make sure that side of you gets bought into the new life that you're bringing through, that you're accepting, but also try to jump in and make the changes you want, because as everything falls to pieces, it's a great time to sort of advocate for that that Knight of Cups side to yourself. And in what ways do you have room for improvement? Well, there might be a little bit of impatience here for the new bit to come online, because this Three of Swords is the absence, delay, and separation card. So you may be feeling a little bit impatient and like, actually, I can't cope with this. I need the next thing to happen. You could also be feeling a little bit sad because of what you've had to let go of. So being compassionate to yourself would be a very good pointer. If you're not doing that, then be a bit kinder. And how can you bypass or work with any resistance that you have to improving your situation at the moment? The King of Swords and the Four of Cups. So the resistance is, this is, Four of Cups is resistance. This is this kind of young character full of ennui, who's usually refusing a cup. They've got three and they're saying, I'm not going to have any more. I've got what I need. So the first thing to say is, with your resistance that you have to improving the situation, grasp the cup that's being offered to you. Don't, in your sadness or in your confusion or in your kind of apathy, somehow miss any opportunities that are around. There are opportunities and you want to grab them. And be a little bit more strategic with the King of Swords. Be thoughtful and strategic and use your great brain to make some plans. Don't go too wishy-washy just because it's all up in the air. Grasp what bits you can mentally, and then grasp what cups are offered to you. And if you're resistant to this change, you're not that resistant, because we know you're being able to deal with the death card, but what you are doing is allowing the dissolution of something potentially, but not putting your oar in and deciding what you need to build in the next phase. So maybe use that strategic CEO of the King of Swords and grasp the new opportunities that are around. And what message is there to lessen any fear that you have around change? This is amazing. The Ten of Coins is saying something really amazingly generationally wealthy and secure making is coming to you. The Ten of Coins is when everybody's looked after. There's an implication of community and therefore happiness and love and family, but also wealth. Really strong structures of generational wealth that are being embedded in. So, and in this particular picture, we've got the dogs, which I always love how the dogs make it into the picture, and all these different people who represent different ages with these beautiful trees above them. And they are happy. They're happy in community. So if you have any resistance, know that that's what you're headed towards. That's your note of encouragement. That this isn't about... there is that to focus on, and maybe you can think about what you want that to look like, because that will be very encouraging. You know, having your why, knowing what you're headed to in this next bit. And so that's your message to lessen fear. And what natural qualities or assets do you have to support yourself? Well, of course, your Pisces and Swallow people will be pretty... where have they all gone? Oh, maybe there's a magpie instead. The insects have obviously moved on. You're incredibly intuitive. You're High Priestess. You have enormous intuition. So that will be a great... It's always a great ally, but don't forget to sort of connect to that part of you, because it has all the answers, more than I do, more than the cards do. You know. So remember that. Your natural assets are that you are always connected to this bigger whole. And I always think with the High Priestess that she just sits very still, and, you know, maybe in a park somewhere lovely, and she could just kind of knows things without having to have them explained to her. So that deep sense of inner knowing, kind of hook into that and let that be your guidance. And when I showed you that card, maybe you also had a hit of something that you could do to encourage yourself or support yourself. And when we see the High Priestess, we always ask the person who's having the cards read for them, what do you think? Because that's one of the prompts that card gives us, because usually it means that person might have a good idea as well. So think about what it is you might be able to do. And what image can you hold in your head that will help you stay the course, almost like a sort of vision board? This is really interesting. Firstly, the Nine of Swords, which and you see this image, he's looking absolutely sort of bereft after a night, looking up at the canopy of this bed. And clearly the images that he's been looking at are pretty horrific. I can't see what's there. sort of want to, but whatever it is has made him very upset. So that's the first thing to remember. As an image, it's quite a potent one, which is to say that the mind's eye, the images that we have in our head, are what we allow in. So try to edit them, try to think of the good thoughts. Try to see life a bit like a kind of film that you're sitting through in a way. Realize you're the main character from your perspective, and you can decide what perspective, what angle that you take on this whole thing. So try to see it in that way, that it is all just a kind of giant projection in a way. And if you're worrying yourself, try to change the screen on that bed. And then with the Page of Swords, it's saying be more strategic about what you allow into your mind. She's connected to her intuition. She's on higher ground. She's young. You don't need to have all of the answers to be quite creative about how you think you're going to solve your problems. And we are making it all up, all of us. So if you've got that kind of energy around you, even if it's what you're needing to do is make up how to change the view of that canopy, how to make it into something positive, just have a good idea about that. Allow it to come through. Make it up. Make up your own self-help for this. That would be good. And then the King of Cups, because which is a very Piscean card, feeling all the feelings. It's okay to feel all the feelings. I like that this King of Cups has got his businessman suit on. He's sort of, in a way, play acting at being something a bit different than what's going on inside. Let me have a look. And it's actually a female. And she's looking really commanding with all that broiling emotion behind her, represented by the sea. And she looks ready for anything. So that's a good image to have in your mind. And the way that you get to that place is by being quite strategic and making up how you want to get there. And by really editing out those kind of horrific and yet made up thoughts that we get in the middle of the night. No, see them for what they are. They're made up. And finally, what's the best version of yourself that you are here to be, and what are you here to what are you here to overcome at the moment? Well, wow. I mean, I think you've got two, what you're meant to be, and one, what you're meant to become. So overcome. So the sun, I mean, literally the most absolutely optimistic, unbelievably effervescent card in the pack. Look at that. Yes, yes, yes. Embrace that. Manifesting, optimistic, happy, in the sun, feeling rooted in this world, feeling playful. That's what you're here to become. And the Queen of Wands, who is the amazing queen of intuition, of creativity, of rule breaking, of doing it her way. She's such a free and wonderful character. Look at how happy she looks with her beautiful intuitive cat. She's loving life. So that is a really lovely indication that you're here to be utterly unique, totally creative, very expansive. And then one note of caution, which is what you're here to overcome, which is the Seven of Cups. I mean, this is actually a really lovely, imaginative version of the Seven of Cups, where she seems to have grasped a sort of bag of fruit and goodies, and she's going for it, which I love, because usually what we see is 7 cups in the sky and nobody's grabbing them. So maybe it's just a reminder to say, don't leave it all up in the air. Don't be too fanciful, and you need to put your consciousness and your will into one of these ideas that you have, and alchemize life. There's another view of that card as being the alchemist. Alchemize life into what it is you want it to be. Remember, jump into that wheel of fortune and make happen what you need. Don't just let it all go, then decide to rebuild it, but rebuild it with the Queen of Wands and the Sun. I love those cards. See you again.